What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well today. So, as always, once I finish 4 bottles of whiskey, I like to jump on here and quickly talk about them, my thoughts, and whether I think they were worth it. So with that, let's jump into my first one, which is the Bushmills 21-year-old. Now, full transparency, I got this bottle about halfway full, maybe a third full, from one of my coworkers. He wasn't into it anymore, and I enjoyed my time with it. It probably had oxidized a little while since he had been keeping it in a shelf for who knows how many years. But in general, this was a very nice, easy sipper and was a great starter dram to any flight. The problem is the price that you have to pay to get this bottle, 40% ABV. It does have a nice age, but for $250, there are better whiskeys out there. I don't want to be spending $250 on an acclimated or a whiskey that I use for a palate acclimator. So while I enjoyed this one, I definitely think this one is easy to skip at $250. So that is the Bushmills 21. Next up is a favorite entry-level whiskey of mine, and that is the Ledaig 10-year-old. So the Ledaig 10, in my opinion, is the best entry-level peated whiskey out there that's readily available. You can find Ledaig 10 in most liquor stores. There are other good competitors out there like the Port Charlotte 10, Lagavulin 8, the Ardbeg 10, but for my money, Ledaig 10 is the way to go. It gives you a great, nice and easy peated whiskey experience, not super complex, but offers that nice smokiness that and that Ledaig funk that you come to look for in a nice peated whiskey. So if you can find this for around $60 or less, I would say it's absolutely worth it. And if you're looking to dabble in peated whiskey, this is a great one to start with. Again, that's the Ledaig 10-year-old. Number 3 on the list is the Oban 12. Now this one is an interesting one. This is the 2021 Diageo Special Release Oban 12, matured in ex-bourbon casks. And in general, I like this one more than most people. Most people probably don't think the price is worth what you're getting. It's around $100, and for a 12-year-old whiskey, most people aren't willing to spend that much. However, if your palate is aligned with mine, this one I think actually is worth that price. It offers a unique drinking experience, one that I haven't quite had in another whiskey. So for that reason, I think it was actually worth the price, so much so that I actually got a second bottle of this that I can open up down the road. So if you're in the market for an interesting Oban, if you like the Oban whiskey profile, this is certainly better than their standard core range stuff and definitely elevates that. It's better than any other Oban I've had to date. Granted, it's not a big list. So if you see this for around 100, you know you like Oban, it's probably worth it. For everyone else, you could probably skip that. This is the Oban 12. And finally, onto one of my all-time favorite whiskeys. That is the Dailuaine 23. Now this is Signatory's Cask Strength series, distilled in 1997, bottled in 2021, aged 23 years in hogshead, and today this is the best hogshead whiskey I've ever had. It's complexity, sweetness, fruitiness, tropical fruits, and creaminess is beyond anything I've ever had in a whiskey. And the value is really where it shines for a 23-year-old cask strength whiskey at around $150, $160. This was a no-brainer. This is going to be hard to find nowadays, the 23-year-old, but they did just release the 24-year-old. It is a bit more expensive at around $200, but for a 24-year-old cask strength whiskey, that is a reasonable price to pay. I would pay it all day long. A lot of people say this is kind of like a Clynelish replacement, since Clynelish is becoming ridiculously expensive. So if you do see this, if you do stumble across this, Dailuaine is a whiskey that needs to be explored more. You can usually find independent bottlings for very reasonable prices. This is the best I've had to date and is as good as any whiskey I've ever had. Again, Dailuaine, 1997, Signatory Special Release. So that is my latest empty bottle reviews, and I will be back in the near future with my next 4. I've already got 3 in the queue lined up, so once I get that 4th one, I will jump back on here and give you my thoughts on those. If you have any questions or thoughts on these bottles, feel free to leave them in the comments, and otherwise I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.